Hi, this is in response to week four's collaborative assignment. I think you guys once again did a really good job in working together to produce an artifact, a document that has a significant amount of value. Your opening section in which you evaluate Pixlr, Google Photos, Photoshop Express, and Photor, I think provides an excellent context for the different capabilities available and free online resources. I think that there are many users who are familiar with each of these resources, but I don't think all that many would really have taken the time to do a point-by-point comparison. And I think what you offer is a good start in that regard. I think what oftentimes happens is people quickly adopt a online photo editing program, for instance, and really kind of play in that ecosystem and not seriously consider alternatives. I am familiar with Pixlr, Google Photoshop Express. I haven't used Photor all that much. I am starting to get into HDR photography, so I'll learn it. But basically, I am comfortable with the applications, and I do believe that you do a really good job in outlining the strengths. Of the resources that you list, other than Photor, which is really for HDR, or it's HDR oriented, I think that Pixlr is probably the most fully formed and most sophisticated for image editing. Now, that's good if you have a bunch of advanced users. It's not so good for people who are just getting involved with image editing. So what I oftentimes will do is use something really simple that has limited options, such as Google Photos, to teach general concepts, and then what we do is generalize from those concepts and apply them to a more sophisticated product like Pixlr. I do that oftentimes in my design classes, where I'll use something like Microsoft Paint to show simple image creation techniques, and then we'll scale up to Photoshop or GIMP or Inkscape or any of the other higher-end image editing programs. So I think selection of the application and assessment of the application in part depends upon your audience. What is their prior skill set? What is the purpose of using the application? Is the application to generate content, or are you introducing the application in part because it's important, it's critical to learn how to use that specific application? Can you scale the introduction of the software? In other words, start with really basic software and then grow in sophistication. And again, to use an example that a lot of you are familiar with, Photoshop is a remarkably powerful program, but at this point in time it's remarkably complex. Now, I started with Photoshop when it first came out on the market, and I was able to grow my knowledge of the product as the product itself developed. But someone who's new to this space might be overwhelmed. So there is something to be said for selecting a really simple tool to understand, to help the students understand the basic concepts, and then you can grow their sophistication as you go along. So, as an artifact, as a document, this is really good. I also very much liked your marginal comments, Devin, and the rest of the crew, Michael and the rest of the crew. It's a nice record of how the interaction occurred. This is good work. I think you guys are getting a good sense of nuance. I think you're also starting to differentiate between selecting an application because of its functionality versus selecting an application to meet specific learning needs and to meet specific student considerations. Great work.